rock independent music genre and turning 50, because so much of what I did when I was young had a use-by date stamped on it. And that is kind of the blessing and the curse of being in the moment in your young years. And so as music ages in different genres, just my opinion, it ages differently with different amounts of dignity and grace. For instance, in my opinion only, I think country western ages very well in that a young Johnny Cash, fantastic. An old Johnny Cash is a smarter, more talented version than the younger Johnny Cash, where I like the youthful records, but I love the later records because there's a guy who's been there, done that, and you can hear it when he sings. Willie Nelson, who thankfully is still with us, as his ponytail turns less red and more gray, I believe him more and more, because the lines in his face say, I've been around the track. When you look at Merle Haggard, you're looking into the face of a wizened truth that paid the price to know what the lines in that face know. On the other hand, when rock and roll gets old, it is incredibly weird. And I am not putting down rock and roll, but when you see a guy like Mick Jagger running around the stage, who I think is fantastic, but when he's still singing, I can't get no satisfaction. Like year 48 after he wrote it, first off, the grammar is appalling. He should upgrade it. But I cease to believe his sincerity. How can Mick Jagger say, I can't get no satisfaction? You're the singer in the Rolling Stones. You can buy Paraguay. You can have anyone in the world killed or brought to your palace. Either you don't want satisfaction, you don't know what satisfaction is, I believe neither, or you're just lying to me. So which one is it, Mr. Jagger? Now, if it's a case that he doesn't want any satisfaction, now that is interesting. He should change the lyric. And if he says, I don't want no satisfaction, now the song turns into this weird Zen existentialist anthem. Like, I don't want no. That would cause his audience to just have to stop, leave the stadium, and go take a walk in the parking lot, hold their chin and think very deeply. I mean, think about that for just a nanosecond. I don't want no satisfaction. Wow. Here's satisfaction. No, that's not for me. What do you want? I want to go to a mountaintop in the Himalayas and stand on one hand for 20 months and eat cold, sour cabbage and not sleep. And then get off my one-handed handstand in front of no one so there's no satisfaction. That's what I want to do. Why? Because I don't want no satisfaction. Why not? Just cause. That is worthwhile. And so when rock gets older, it still insists on taking its shirt off, which is, don't do that. Don't. The only guy who gets to do that is Iggy Pop, who is a huge fan. They called Elvis Presley the king of rock and roll, and he's fantastic. There's nothing bad about Elvis Presley. He left too soon for my liking, but he was cool. I always call Iggy Pop the heavyweight champion of rock and roll because he had to fight for it. And he's one of those guys with more broken bones, more scars. His teeth are fake, and that he already broke them out. And if you ever watch Iggy walk around, he kind of has to swivel his right hip. You know why? He jumped off a stage once many years ago, broke his pelvis in half on the barrier. That's Iggy, and he plays with pain. I've seen him play many times in my life, and many years ago, in 2006, I did an Australian tour called The Big Day Out. It's a big festival, and the Stooges played every single day, and every damn band was on the side of the stage like school was in. There's the White Stripes, there's the Mars Volta, there's Wolfmother, there's all these bands, and everyone's at attention because he's on stage. And he goes out there and just utterly kills it. At that point, he's like 60 years old. And he's he's terrified. He's like Bruce Lee with a dye job. How would that look like that? And he would come off stage just covered in sweat and water and blood and legend. And he would walk around the side of the stage and fall. He left it literally, would leave it all on the stage. He would pass me on the back of the stage. I'd follow and watch. And if someone would pull a string, and he would just collapse right behind the stage. And he would receive people from this broken mass of himself from the ground. And people walk up, hey, Iggy, great show. Oh, thanks, man. And he would just shake people's hands from the ground. And his manager's there with a bottle of water and a towel. But he doesn't walk off, so okay, back to the internet. He walks off, I'm like, wow, it's total commitment with this guy. And so you don't really think about his age. But with punk rock, in independent music, I think there's a thing that happens to some of these musicians when they hit about 50 or 51. This is why I'm telling you this, because I was thinking about this when I turned 50. They hit this age where they look at their back pages and they get very angry. And it is their opinion that they did not get what they so rightfully deserved. They look at newer punk rock alternative bands with 6 million records sold, who fly their own jets, who have largesse, who own 4 palaces, who do, in fact, own Paraguay. And these bands say, this band was the biggest influence on our band ever. And that's the band who played in front of 27 people a night, who got spent glue tubes and ashtrays thrown at their head. And they're like, well, wait a minute. You're the one with 9 million records sold, and you're influenced by me, the guy who got a shit sandwich and a punch in the mouth for 7 years before, the whole band got herpes and died? I mean, and I'm influenced, like, well, give me some. Give me some, oh, influenced young one, with your iridescent ink tattoos. Some of these people, they get really angry. And so they say to themselves, I'm going to go out and get what is so rightfully mine. And they reconstitute their bands. And they go staggering, waddling, trundling out onto festival stages all over the world. It's happening this summer. It's happening right now. And they horrify thousands of young people looking up at these weird old men with these preponderous guts who strain to get to the neck of the guitar because the guitar sits this far over this Budweiser grown gut. And they waited 27 years to return. That's a good thing. And they bellow at this young, terrified audience who can see the hair visibly migrate from the top of the head down the back of the neck to take a rest stop right over the ass back of the lumbar region in this weird, furry, brown, black bed of futility and sorrow. And then this song's about Margaret Thatcher, remember her? Not really. Not even my dad does. And here's a song about Ronald Reagan. He was a bastard. Let's see, history books out. Ronald Reagan. Oh, an ancient man who died in a diaper. Got it, thank you. Completely irrelevant. Thank you, ancient weird dude. Thank you for trying to give me a lesson and scold me for being 18. Like it's my fault that I look beautiful naked and you look like some weird sumo wrestler toad. And that kind of like, we went out there and showed them, didn't we? You got laughed at, you're making a horse's ass out of yourself. So when I was 49.9999% old, I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do not to be that guy? And so I turned 50 years of age in New York City, and I just finished a bunch of shows there. I'd done a week of shows there, and I was 49.999% old on February 12th of last year, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And I leave the venue, and it's like 11:45 at night. I have like, several minutes before I turn 50, and I walked across this freezing street in Manhattan, New York, to a diner right across the street. So I was incredibly hungry, and I sat down. And I asked the nice lady for a tuna fish sandwich and a cup of coffee. So she goes out to get the food. And as I'm waiting, I look at my watch, and I'm watching the minutes melt by. Like, wow, I'm going to be 50 in a few minutes. And I turned 50 right when the sandwich arrived. It was perfect synchronicity. And the first thing I said to myself, well, you turn 50, they give you a tuna fish sandwich and a 4-year-old cup of coffee. And so as I drank the coffee and ate the sandwich, I reflexively, instinctively thought, well, I have to sum it all up. I have to go through my back pages and see what it all means. Trying to make my 50th birthday be more relevant than my 49th or my 12th. In that it's not just another year, it's my 50th. And what does that mean? Well, we like to divide things by 10. 50 is half of 100, and there you go. It's your halfway mark. No, it's not. If you look at the average lifespan of an American, which is 70-some years, at 50, I'm in field goal range of death. If you want to go to famousspeakers.com, I have indeed been to that mountaintop, and now I'm down the other side with a grave at the bottom, and I'm on skis. I'm not going backwards. The hair's not going to get black. The knees aren't going to be pain-free tomorrow. I am getting older, and so are you. I'm just saying I got to my 50th before, well, all of you. It's okay. Just keep waking up every day, not getting hit by a bus, and one day so shall you turn 50. And so 50 hit me was a complete non-event. And I'm sitting there eating the sandwich going, well, let's sum it all up. And at that point, I had been touring for 30 years, and I went over the stats in my head, and I came to the conclusion that I've averaged over 100 shows a year for 30 years. I'm not proud of that. Well, thank you, but well, it's not so bad for punk rock. It's lazy for country western. And they used to say, well, Willie Nelson did 3 shows today. I am sure of it. And so country western works really hard. Me, I'm just desperate for your attention and your approval, and I'll take anything, girl. I mean, I'm so happy you're here tonight. It's a gig, I took it. My only regret is I haven't been here 50 times before. And so anyway, I started summing it all up. I go, well, this is what I do. I'm the show guy. I am tour dude. To the point where I would rather be on the road than off of it. And some performers, they do a tour because it's a money maker, it's what they do for a living, they're incredibly good at it, but they're always thinking of home. Like when I get this done, I'll go home to family or whatever it is. When I come to an end of a tour, I go back to my home, which is a real come down. I see it very infrequently. It's a nice place. It holds a single man very well. But when I walk in, it's so unfamiliar to me because I see it with such great infrequency. I walk in and start to profile the owner because I don't believe it's my place. I walk in and I drop my grimy green backpack on the carpet in the living room and I survey the environment. I go, wow, this guy's so out of touch. Adult male, lives alone, arrested in his 17th year of development, evidence. The poster for the first Clash album framed with museum-grade framing on that wall with the lights on it. The poster framing cost more than the poster ever did. One large, flat gray wall over here holding a large-size poster of the first Joy Division album bought from the old manager's estate with museum lighting against it. Wow, a stereo system that could wound a herd of zebra from 1.5 miles away. Wow, what a pathetic, sad shell of a man. I'm home. And so I seek to stay out because I'd rather be with you every single night, living in my Bon Jovi mobile, sleeping in my small coffin-like bunk, looking up at my fake wood-toned plastic ceiling. This is what I prefer. When Tim, the bus driver bastard, hits the brakes, all of our stuff flies forward, key mugs smash, computers go down, and we're all going to the Mac store to buy new crap the next day. And so I'll take that over. I'm home. Here's my couch. I'm going to go to the grocery store again. I feel like Captain Will at the beginning of Apocalypse Now in the hotel room in Saigon, getting weaker while the world just goes madly on. I don't want to watch the parade, I want to be the damn parade. That's what I do. And so I've averaged a lot of shows a year because I'd rather be out there than back there. And so I also realized that I had come to the basically capacity of my maturity, in that I am not going to get more mature in front of you anytime soon. I'm just going to get older and weirder as I go. And I've been able to maintain more anger as the years go on. And years ago, I read an interview with Iggy Pop. They said, God, you're so angry. How do you stay angry? And he said, I work at it. I'm like, damn, that's what I'm talking about. School is in. Thank you, Professor. I love that. You get up and work at it? I'm a pretty happy guy. No, that's a fail. Get the fat off those abs. Let's get pissed off. Love that. And so that's how it is for me with my maturity. I'm never going to be mature enough to buy a Sting album. I'm not putting Sting down. I'm not, because he's a good musician. He's fantastic. I only wish Mr. Sumner was here to hear me, laugh with him, not at him. Certainly not. He also can have me killed. But you have to admit, it's a certain kind of adult who can walk into a record store in broad daylight, which seems to be night and day in this town in the summer, and walk up to the Sting bin and pull out a Sting product, format does not matter, and walk up to the counter and slap that thing down and look the vendor right in the face and say, that's what I'm talking about, Sting. It's not that kind of music, and I'm not going to be that kind of red zinger, tea-drinking, meditative dude. And I'm not putting that red zinger to your meditation. I'm just saying, for some people, it's always going to be kind of a Ramon Slayer world. And so, anyway,